going to do your side border first or your top border. In this case, I did the sides first because I was afraid if I added the top and the bottom, the piece wouldn't be big enough in one strip. So that's one reason why you might not do it. Generally, I put the top ones on and then I put the side ones on, but that was the reason not to do it that way. So you started out by measuring through the center, and it was 41, and now it's 40 and a half.
You weren't up at the end.
No, I'm just saying this is what I did before.
Okay.
And then I measured both sides, and fortunately they were all the same, but that's because I cut the blocks. They don't always come out all the same. So then this is 43 and 3/4. And so, we'll see. Same. Yeah, and that's the same. So, I would cut two pieces that were 43 and 3/4. I would then fold it in half after I've cut it. Fold it and get a center point, and then I'd fold it again and press in a 1/4 point. So there I've got 3 places besides the outside edge that I can match. Then I would do the same thing with this, is fold it, get the center point, and then get the 1/4 points. And if you've got something that's going to be a king-size quilt, you want to have more spaces to check. So then you would put your pin, you would match these.
You could do this one.
Yeah. This should be long.
Would you cut the,
Salvage off, yes.
you would cut that off before you did all that, right?
You want to fold it?
Yeah, that's, so then with my markings, I would pin the 2 ends, the center, and then in between. Now, if we measured perfectly and sometimes your center is not the same as your edges. Your edges stretch. And in order to have a quilt that is rectangular in shape and not a little off each way, you make your strips the same size as the center, and then that carries it through. Okay, so when you're sewing them on, you're going to find that maybe you've got something like that, where you've got a little extra. So the side that is extra goes to the bottom, and your natural action of your sewing machine will ease that and stretch that top layer. And any of you that have tried sewing 2 plaid pieces together, and when you get to the bottom, they're off, you realize that that's what your sewing machine does without any help. So you'd sew the 2 of those on, and then you would press it out on each side. And then measure across the center, and then check the top and the bottom. And if you've got one that's really off, and you'd start with your first ones, if you've got something that's really off, like 1 inch, then turn your quilt over and start looking at your seams on the back, and you'll be able to see where your problem is. Like maybe when you put them together, one slid, or the stitch was this wide here, and then something happened and you got stopped, or you hit a bump or something and it went wider, and so forth. So usually you can tell by looking at the back if you're off that much. If it's just a 1/2 inch, you're not, you shouldn't have any problem easing them in. And then once you put these here, pressed them, you measure again, and then apply them to the top. But if you were to just take your fabric and sew it to the edge of your quilt, this side might be 41 inches and this one might be 43, because that sewing machine that's easing it for you when you want it is also stretching it for you when you don't want it. And that's the other reason for putting your pins in, just like if anybody sewed clothing and when you did tops of your shoulders and so forth, you use that to ease in that fullness. And it's kind of the same way that you're using it in this. So,